Oh, that one has like an immediate burn.
Well, it is what I described as smelling like heat. It's hot, very good, hot.
Love the smell of napalm in the morning.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm David Voorhees, host of Running Hot. Today I've got Fred Stipkovits.
You got it.
Stipkovits of Aerotech Aerospace. All right.
Ultratech Aerospace.
Oh, God bless America. I got the name partially
You're good.
right.
We're close. It's all right.
Thank you for joining today. So we've got 6 sauces. We say 5 are for free. The 6th one is for charity. $1,000 is charity of your choice. Have you thought about what charity you wanted to support?
I've been going back and forth with this. I had a number of them. I'm on a board of 2, so I think I'm going to go with one that's local.
Okay.
So I'm on the board of directors for the National Tooling and Machining Association, and we focus on workforce development and getting the next generation into the trades. And so actually tomorrow is our big fundraiser golf outing to raise money for field trips and secondary kind of education of what the trades are, how to get in them. So I think I'm gonna go that route.
There you go. So you got $1,000 already racked up for tomorrow. Let the audience know we got.
We got Little Dick's Big Flavor.
Yes.
Ghost pepper pear.
Yeah. So give yourself just a little bit, enough to dab the wing in it. This one was given to me by a partner out in the field. They sent me like 12 sauces, and I had cracked this open the other day, and it was absolutely incredible. Put that back up there. I will take whatever. I'll start with the drumming. We'll just split it out.
We'll go there.
So just how much ever you want on there. The early ones, someone told us we're sandbagging, so I think this sauce is absolutely incredible.
Good hint of pear. All right. Little heat, not bad.
So you grew up Pittsburgh, right?
That's right. Pennsylvania, not Kansas.
Okay, that's a good distinction here. Good point. I had a friend who married a Colombian woman, and most people here think it's Missouri. I'm like, no, country. So grew up in Pittsburgh, then joined the Coast Guard. Spent several years there. What was the biggest transition going from civilian life into the service? And by the way, thank you for your service.
Appreciate that. Thank you. The biggest I graduated high school on a Friday, and I left for the Coast Guard on Monday. So, I was 17. I turned 18 while I was at boot camp in '96. So, really, I had no transition. That's all I knew. I just went from being a kid and, living my high school days off to the military. So I came from a pretty strict household, old school, blue collar, ethnic household. So rules and regulations weren't really a problem. So it wasn't a big transition. It was just what I already knew. My father was in the military. My uncle was in the military. My grandfather, both my grandfathers. So it was just kind of a normal transition
Natural.
to life. Yeah. I've been out since '06, right? So almost 20 years. I would struggle to go back in now. It's a different service nowadays.
True.
20 years ago.
That's very
and
true.
35 years ago when I got in, but it would be difficult to be older and go back. Go switch to that lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's get into number 2.
All right.
I'll let you grab.
What do we got here? Hot Ones, Verde, Los Calientes.
We added this yesterday. Yesterday was Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Actually, matter of fact, I need to send a text message to a friend of mine. Back in the day when I used to run human resources, we had a pretty, we'll say epic party, but it was on the 6th of May, and we called it Cinco de Sixo, which of course is wrong how to say it, but needless to say, we are on the 6th of May today, but we're keeping the sauce. This one was really good, one of my favorites.
That one is good.
So, you were in the Coast Guard. Obviously, the Coast Guard is known for being on the water.
Yep.
You also were an aviator. You went to school to learn how to fly. So, talk to me about what you did in the Coast Guard, and how did you decide? Look, I want to go from the water to the air.
So aviation was always an interest of mine. My grandfather, my father's father, wanted to fly, had a perforated eardrum, couldn't fly. In World War II, he was an airframe and power plant mechanic, so he was an A&P. And so I always had an interest in aviation. It was kind of in the family-ish. So, yeah, right, I went to boot camp. I came back. I started off in the reserves. I started off going to school. I actually started going to school for air traffic control and made it through a number of semesters at a community college in Pennsylvania that was one of the only direct hire air traffic control programs with the FAA. So a lot of times you'd have to go to Oklahoma City to the FAA Academy. Realized part of that was getting your pilot's license. So I got my pilot's license, loved flying, realized I enjoyed flying more than I did air traffic control, so I switched, got a commercial pilot's license, multi-engine instrument, worked at a fixed base operator at the airport, that fuels planes while I was in the reserves. Did a little flying at night for them, flying cargo. I'll date myself. We used to fly canceled checks for the Federal Reserve. So we would pick up Federal Reserve checks from Pittsburgh and fly them to Cleveland, to the Cleveland Fed. So whatever, to build up your hours.
Right.
Went active duty in the Coast Guard, enlisted. I did some counter-narcotics things, some search and rescue, some environmental protection, a lot of different things when I was enlisted. And wanted to fly for the Coast Guard. So once I finished up my bachelor's, applied, went to OCS at the Coast Guard Academy, put in for every Coast Guard station from Boston to Miami and flight school, and ended up in St. Louis.
Landlocked.
Yep, they call that needs of the service.
Indeed. Well,
Or I pissed somebody off.
that's
Probably.
also possible.
That's entirely
I don't know if it's
possible.
probable, but
That's definitely
possibly probable.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Now, I don't like to make light of injuries. I've had my own, but you did also fly out of a boat.
I did.
So, that's a kind of a dad joke there. But, you dealt with some pretty significant injury. How did that change your trajectory inside of the service?
Yeah, so I did get in after. So when I got to St. Louis in July of 2001, 9/11 happened shortly thereafter. I became the Chief of Homeland Security Operations and Intelligence. I worked with the FBI's Anti-Terrorism Task Force. I was on a number of U.S. Attorney task forces. I did get in a high-speed boat chase and collision and got ejected out of the boat. I sit here today, 6 knee surgeries, 2 shoulder surgeries, and a lot of back problems. But as I've said to others, it could be worse. I'm at least on the top side.
Mm-hmm.
And but it did change. I mean, I wasn't really able to stay operational. The VA wanted to do a knee replacement. I went through an experimental program at Mizzou where they did a knee transplant and kind of transplanted a meniscus and tendons and ligaments and kneecap, which worked out great. It's been 7 years now, 7 or 8 years now, and it's been holding up really well. But yeah, it changed my entire operational capabilities. I just wasn't able to run, and stay fit and really in the condition I needed to stay in. So got out. My ex-wife got transferred to Kansas City. She was also she was a federal agent. I had met her on the task force. Got transferred to Kansas City, and that's how I ended up out here and got into manufacturing at that point.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into question 3. Sauce 3. This one's new.
Dragon repellent.
Dragon repellent.
Speaking of ex-wives.
They had one called zombie repellent, but we thought dragon repellent was more appropriate with the heat.
Ooh, this one's thick.
Yeah, you'll notice that the profile of the sauce changes.
We got some chunks.
That's good enough.
There.
I'll probably shake it up a little bit.
So. Coming from Pittsburgh, we would, reminds me of some H.J. Heinz ketchup,
Yeah.
you know.
Super.
Thick. Best things come to those who wait.
Just steps up a little bit in heat.
It does. It's
Still with that vinegar base.
Yeah. It is vinegar. I was going to say sweet, but it's not. It's more.
We had a chef on a few episodes ago. And it was so interesting to hear him explain the flavors that he tasted.
The
Because I'd be like,
notes.
well, this smells like heat, and he'd go into the ingredients. I was like, all right, well, you've made me look pretty foolish, but thank you. So we were talking before about your knee. You had mentioned you were walking through the airport and you saw a billboard, and it piqued your interest because it was talking about a program for knee replacements or knee recovery. So it got me thinking about, that means you're curious. That means you're somebody that's willing to seek out an answer. How has that curiosity served you in your professional life?
Yeah, you're right. I did see a billboard for this program. Made me really curious. 3 years ago, I walked into an industry at Ultratech Aerospace that it's a machine shop. We're a 3, 4, and 5 axis machine shop. We're predominantly a defense contractor. I had never been in a machine shop a day in my life, really. And so I have this amazing opportunity to come in and lead this company and lead some remarkably talented individuals in an industry and an environment that I've never been in. So I have to spend a lot of time being curious, and I have to ask a lot of questions. I have to do a lot of listening, and I spent months, and even to this day, I've spent months listening to every single employee that was there, come through my office, talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, what they've seen at other shops that they like, and just set out on really a self-defined mission of changing the culture in American manufacturing. I say this is my reoccurring message. I've listened to my uncles and my father, who all were blue-collar, steel mill workers, factory workers, talk about how poorly they were treated and respected as skilled, talented labor. And I can't do that. I can't live with that. And so I have to really learn everything about what these folks do in order to know how to lead them better and create an environment that breeds the same level of inquisitiveness that I have, because I need people that want to learn, want to grow, want to offer ideas. And a lot of times people are reluctant to do that because for far too long in the manufacturing industry, they've been kept in their box and that's it. And I want people out of the box.
Yeah, absolutely. I think either leaders have been coached wrong, trained wrong, whatever they observe, they see being inquisitive or learning from others under their charge as weakness. I feel it's exactly the opposite. You're acknowledging someone's skill and you're acknowledging their expertise in a certain area, and you're allowing them to educate you. I mean, I think that's a very powerful message, that the leader is willing to humble themselves and be open to, hey, I don't know this. Let me figure out what you're doing, because then maybe I can help you with this piece and you can help me with this piece.
Yeah, and I think if you ask the question the right way, they're not going to feel threatened.
Right.
They're not going to feel like you're just trying to find fault in what they do or how they do it. And so that's a really delicate approach that I had to figure out how to balance and get the information I wanted, figure out what was, vet it, trust but verify it, that it was good information, their requests were right, a lot of that stuff. It's a very tedious process.
Indeed. All right, well, we're on the other side of the Kleenex holder.
Right.
This one is extreme pain is good.
Yeah.
So this one is delicious. This is where we're starting to heat up. But you can see that it's got a different consistency. They all have different colors, which doesn't really inform you much about what it is. But
Pain is good. I rode a mountain bike race 2 years ago now in Leadville, and they had on their T-shirt. Their slogan was "Make friends with pain, and you will never be alone," which is pretty bad.
I had somebody tell me earlier today, their dad told them, "One thing I can guarantee about life, no one's leaving here alive." And I had that same reaction. I was like, well, that's right. Morbid.
It is. Well, my wife regularly says that as well. No one's getting out alive.
Man, this stuff's good. This show's extra good for me because I also like to eat. A little extra afternoon snack.
Mm-hmm.
So we started talking about heat, touching your eyes, giving you some pointers and tips. You told me a story about training, and I wanted to be clear, being pepper sprayed. I didn't want to say you've been pepper sprayed and the audience wonder why you've been pepper sprayed.
Don't assume.
So in training, you would get pepper sprayed and you'd have to go through an activity. What was the purpose of being pepper sprayed, and what was the lesson it was trying to teach you?
So, and I've been out of the business a long time, so I don't know whether they still do it. I think they do. But the training, they would pepper spray. You would be in full gear. They would pepper spray you right across the face, and then they would send people in to fight with you. And the purpose was to learn how to overcome your bodily senses, gain control of the situation, maintain positive control of your weapon, and fight through the pain and the blindness and the snot everywhere, and get those individuals on the ground, handcuffed, and control the situation. It was pretty miserable.
Not unlike this.
That one definitely got me there.
Good.
Had some heat.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're a father. I'm a father. I think as we look at parenting, it's this balance of how do you nurture your child to let them know you care, but also help them understand that the world doesn't always nurture you, and that you have to show up and be strong. And sometimes strong looks a little bit different. But it was interesting to me that you mentioned that you've been out for a while. You're not sure if they still do those same trainings, because I think we've gotten away from hard work. You know, I mean, you're in a world that hard work is really important because people are working with their hands. It's tactile, it's effort, but you still have to overcome obstacles and objectives, and that's one of those areas that I find maybe the pendulum has swung too far, where we're a little too soft. I mean, we don't need to do the same things our parents did to toughen us up, but then again, not everything is tell me about your feelings.
Well, yeah, I agree, and I'm not crying yet. I do cry sometimes. That's one of those secrets, a chink in my armor. Because I can get emotional, but this isn't emotional yet. My wife and I talk about this all the time. Our kids have a different starting line than we did.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, my wife's side. But, yeah, that balance of we live in an area where the schools are great, it's safe, it's, a lot of liquid assets, and it's a different lifestyle than we had growing up.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit of a basketball game earlier in the year, but, my first Chiefs game I went to, my mom had to save up for it, was in the third level. Right? And our son has been able to be on the field and meet players, and it's a completely different starting line, to your point, and it's, hey, remember, effort went into this.
Right.
A lot of luck, but hard work creates luck.
Yeah, my son's first was not this Christmas, but last Christmas. We had tickets, ended up in a suite. Santa Claus was good to him.
That's right. Okay. Well, this one, the bomb, Beyond Insanity. So we learned something through a scientific process, was that there's not a big difference once you get to the 150,000 Scoville area, in my opinion.
Okay.
So we've gone from about 40,000, 50,000 Scoville, to now we're going to about 130, 140,000 Scoville. So this is going to be a step up, but you've already stepped. And once we go from this one to the last one, it won't be as big of a step. So where you're at now, we're going to progressively burn higher, but not the step that we just had from 3 to 4.
Got it. All right, let's do it.
Thank you, sir. Choose your weapon.
Oh yeah, that one's got some kick.
And in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that knows you, and for those that don't, I'm going to preface this so you do know him. You're a guy that says what's on your mind. You know, you're intentional, but you don't spend a great deal of time trying to say the perfect thing. You say the thing that's your thing. So you're not getting crossed up or worried about saying the wrong thing because it's your thing. How have you learned to use that as an asset? Because a lot of people who are direct get a rap where, oh, you know, they're just going to say whatever's on their mind. But I feel the people that I know who speak very highly of you say, look, he's going to shoot you straight. He's going to tell you the truth. It may not always come out with pillows and butterflies, but he's going to do that. So something that a lot of people fear, being truthful, transparent, honest, and direct, because of how people react to that, you've actually created that as an asset where people look at you for that. How did you create that as a skill, and how do you continue to hone it?
I would say a lot of mistakes, some burned bridges, and yeah, I look at it as transparency, and like you laid it out perfect. I am transparent. I'm honest. And I don't expect people to 100% agree with what I have to say. And I'm not looking to, my way isn't the only way.
Right.
So I'm open to the discussion, but I think in order to have those debates and those discussions, you can't be shy with what your opinion is. I don't shy away from debate. I don't shy away from discussion, and I encourage it. And so I get a lot of feedback. I think if you start off, people know I'm direct, but people also know that I'm willing to listen.
Right.
Right. And I think that helps balance that. My wife says I usually go at things with a sledgehammer. She's more of a scalpel. I'm more of a sledgehammer. Probably times I should have used a scalpel. But that's not me.
Right. Well, that's probably why you make a good team, because she has a skill that you don't. You have one that she doesn't, and together you create a better anvil, if you will.
And she has tempered my my sledgehammer over time.
Now, I've always approached, well, maybe not always. I had some really good leaders that have helped me craft who I am today. But I've landed on, if my intentions are pure, I can't go wrong. Right? I can make a mistake, but I can't go wrong, because my original idea, my intentions were pure. I didn't have an ulterior motive. Maybe I find I could have said it differently or something, down the road. But you always know that what I was doing, I had a heart with it.
Same, right? I always have the best intentions, right? So sometimes it's interpreted wrong, so we have to overcome those. But
yeah, that's true. Oh gosh, I saw a quote the other day that I sent to a few people. Because I am not always universally liked for that reason, is I say the things that other people are unwilling to say, only because I don't want people not to tell me things that I need to hear. I may not like it, but I'd like to know it. So it was something about, I say what's on my mind, and that's why only 3 people like me. So I was like, that's fair. That's fair.
I've also gone with the infamous Dr. Seuss, and those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind.
I think that comes with age. I found out that the older I get, I realize, and I really have always envied this about people, but I didn't understand that age and wisdom impacted this, is they seem to let everything roll off their shoulders. They're like, I don't care that somebody said, I don't,
Right.
Well, because when you get older, you realize not everybody's looking at you. Not everybody cares about you. When you're younger, everything does feel very real.
Right.
You feel like
Yeah.
every mistake is under a microscope. You feel like everything that you do is going to impact everything that you will be. And you can say that to people, but they will never get it until they get there. And that's something that I wish I could impart on younger professionals is, look, you are going to mess up. But trust me, we're not all sitting here in an office going, can you believe that person messed up? We're probably in there going, I did the same thing.
Right.
Man, and I messed up even worse.
Boy, right. Yeah. Glad he didn't go as far as I went.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
So you may think of this as a mistake, but I'm going to let you look at that first. Go ahead and...
Grinder's Death Nectar.
Yes.
I believe, I wish I was as witty as Reinhardt, because he had some good ones. I forget what he said about Death Nectar, but it was pretty funny.
Like I said, he is the only guest. Be careful with that. That'll hurt you. He was the only guest that double dipped.
Right.
After everyone was going, what is... Man.
It's starting to melt the plate.
Indeed. Indeed. So on to question 6. I'm going to do a wing. I've been with the drummies. Don't saturate it. Just give yourself a little bit.
Oh, that one has like an immediate burn.
Well, it is what I describe as smelling like heat. It's hot. Very good. Hot.
Love the smell of napalm in the morning.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this one, a little less out there. What is one thing about you that others would be surprised to learn?
I think one of it is that, I'm kind of like a crab. I've got a pokey and spiny and have a hard outer shell. But I really am kind of a softy at heart. Not everybody thinks that. Some people have seen it. That would be one. I don't really know what else because I'm a pretty open book. But definitely that I have a soft side. A lot of people feel very standoffish, very, got that exterior crust.
Yeah. Well,
What do you think's one thing that maybe people don't know that you might know about me that I'd be throw it back your way?
About me or about you? About you?
No, this is about me. This whole show's about me.
It is about you. I think that probably, that tethered with the idea that, you can say what's on your mind, but actually care about the person that you're talking about. You're very direct, and that might hurt somebody's feelings, but to know that you care about what you're saying and what that might do to you, I think that's probably the biggest one. For anyone that doesn't know you really deeply, like maybe they just get a few minutes with you, that'd be the one that I would say.
I think it's a good one.
I will take this one moment to say this. He'll probably never see this, but Anthony Edwards, in my opinion right now, is in the top 3 most talented players that are walking this earth. But I cannot stand his arrogance. It drives me nuts. And a lot of people who have known me for many years in my early career, I walked a very tight line between confidence and arrogance. And I had leadership that was, they told me the stuff that I didn't want to hear, but I needed to about, hey, you want to be arrogant, fine. Be very lonely. You want to be confident, still might be lonely, but at least, you'll be able to win the hearts of others. I want Anthony Edwards to figure out that you have an ability to do something that someone hasn't done in a very long time, but you just got to stop the shit talking.
Right. Absolutely.
Nobody likes that stuff.
Nope.
So, how do you feel after you done the 6?
A little burn, a little snot.
You recovered.
Not bad.
Once we got to 4, I started to see you heating up.
Yeah.
And then, what did you think about the 5 to 6? Was I right about once you're there, you're there?
100% agree. Okay. Yeah, the four hit me. It was a kick in the gut, and then catch your breath again.
Yeah. Well, Fred, thank you for being here today.
Appreciate it. Love it.
David Voorhees, host of Running Hot, thank you for joining us today. Hopefully, you had some fun watching Fred run the gauntlet, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.